And we are live. Sorry, we had a bit of a logistical issue here in finding a room that wasn't echoing, but we are here now. Hi, Sumit. We talk to
Hello,
you
Mithun.
very often these days, don't we?
Yeah.
Interesting week, Ryan. Eh? It's been an interesting week. We started the week off with all this news around regulation and what's going to happen. How's the week been for you so far?
The week has been pretty interesting, and
Yeah.
I mean that's how the crypto world treats you, right? I mean, since the time we started Coindesk, I mean it's been full of ups and downs. So sort of used to it now, and of course, I mean, thoda schedule mein there's like sometimes it gets hectic. So I think this week was also very interesting, very challenging, and some good work happened right
Hmm.
after the uh, news that came out. So as an industry player, we had to do certain things,
Hmm.
and right now most of my time is currently going into that,
Okay.
working on the policy side, doing things which will help our MPs and government understand the
Hmm.
the need to regulate and not go ahead with the proposed ban that media has been talking about.
Yeah, I think the key thing there is proposed ban that the media has been talking
Yes,
about. It's all a proposal.
yes.
I want to
I mean,
make
right?
it very clear to people.
Yes, and interestingly, the contents of the bill that we are talking about is not clear.
Yeah,
We don't know what's there inside, so it
sure.
would be wrong to take wrong to finalize or decide something. I think it's just currently we are all trying to understand what could be there, and then accordingly taking the steps as Coindesk as an industry, what best we can do in the interim while the bill is being presented. So that's what we've been working on.
Sure. I'll just set a little bit of context for everyone, right? And also sort of set some ground rules for what this live is going to be all about because it is an important topic, right? More than interesting being topics, this is an important one. Especially for everybody who's invested in crypto, who's looking forward to invest in crypto. I think so. What happened late last month is the official website of the Lok Sabha mentioned that there could be a crypto bill that could be discussed. In official terms, what it was named was the Cryptocurrency and Regulation of Official Digital Currency Bill 2021. Lot of big words in there. That is why we've called Sumit here, because unlike I know that's true for me, right? And unlike for a lot of us, you've sort of seen this entire wave and ridden this entire wave, and I think this is one of those issues that can't be looked at in isolation. It's important to understand the history. It's important to understand what is the conversation about right now, and it's also important to understand where this could go down the line, right? Because otherwise it's all speculation, right? And that's generally not good for any industry, and that's especially not good for investors. So we thought we'll bring Sumit here. He's sort of spent a lot of time, like he said at the beginning of this conversation, that he's been spending a lot of time sort of alleviating some of these fears and sort of helping people, working with regulators, sort of help them come up with something that's not like a ban, right? It's more of regulation, and for all practical purposes, that is what they seem to be wanting to do as well, right? But nobody knows what's in there. Nobody's read the bill. Nobody knows anything about it. So Sumit, I'll sort of take you back a little bit, right? Uh, for a lot of us, this is our first tryst with this entire news, right? If you can just sort of take us back, 2017, 18 is when the previous time something happened, right? Now, as far as I understand, cryptocurrencies and bitcoins, especially, have never been illegal, right? There have been some regulatory measures placed. If you could just take us back to 2017, 18, what happened back then, that would be super helpful for everyone.
Sure, Mithun. I think it's important to understand, what has happened last time and in which direction we are heading. So I'll give you a summary of, what exactly happened in the year of 2018. So 2017, if you remember, crypto world was experiencing a bull run. Bitcoin went up all the way to $19,000, and there was a huge interest among retail crypto investors. Right now, it's a mix of retail plus institutional, but that time it was mostly retail. There was ICO era where a lot of new projects were coming in. People used to invest. People used to make good returns, and that sort of thing happened. And then in the month of April 2018, so January 2018 onwards, Bitcoin prices started to fall down a little bit. And in the month of April 2018 is when we saw suddenly a circular coming from the RBI side that there is going to be a banking ban. And I still remember that moment. I was in Chayos in Hiranandani. I was taking interviews. We had just planning to launch, and then we were building up our team. And I was taking interview for a HR position, and then during the middle of the interview, I got several calls, and then I got a link. I opened that link, and then it was difficult to believe that something like this could happen. It was the first time I was seeing RBI taking some critical or harsh steps to stop crypto, at least put restrictions when it comes to using banking services. So what the circular said was that banks which are controlled by the RBI, they are prohibited from, or prohibited from dealing with providing banking services to crypto businesses. That is what it meant. What to us, to Coinbase, what it meant was that we could not take customer deposits in Coindex's bank account, which Coinex or ZepPay or all the exchanges used to do before that circular. And that time overnight, and it was mentioned that all the exchanges, they were given 3 months notice to stop their banking tie-ups. So if you want to invest into Bitcoin, and if you go to an exchange, after 3 months, exchanges will not be able to take deposits in their current bank accounts, take deposits from the customers and then give them crypto. That would stop after 3 months. So there was a time given to us, right? Approximately 3 months. On 5th of April 2018, the circular came out, and we were almost about to launch that time. We were almost about to launch Coindex that time. And that entire strategy or business was, how do we make crypto investing easier with the highest liquidity? So as most of our users know, that Coindex is the platform which has highest liquidity. In terms of crypto to crypto, we integrate with several global exchanges, and then we bring that liquidity, and then we build value-added services on top of that liquidity. That is, using that concept, we had a very smart mechanism on how anyone in India would be able to buy crypto, no matter what the quantity is, right? So that sort of mechanism is what we developed. We had all the fiat rails integration done. Everything was sorted, and we just ready to go live. And then when we saw the news, we were like, okay, there's a 3-month window. Should we do that, or should we not do that, right? Because at that point in time, other exchanges were trying to take measures to stop banking tie-ups, and then figuring out what to do next. That was a big blocker for crypto businesses to serve Indian customers when they want to get into crypto. So that was the challenge, and all the exchanges were slowly trying to figure out ways on how we can continue this. Because in India, one thing is, crypto, is a global market, is a global phenomenon. No matter what happens in India, the prices will continue to move. The prices will go up or down depending upon what is happening in the global ecosystem, global crypto ecosystem. And people still wanted to invest. And then if I want to invest, and if I'm not able to invest, that's a big problem. As a user, I'll be forced to go to other platforms which are not in India. They might not even ask for KYC. And people might need to use their credit card, debit card, pay high fees, and figure out some jugaad to buy crypto, right? I felt very bad. Like, if someone wants to invest in crypto, they should be allowed to. It's their own hard-earned money. And then we started, because of this sudden circular, we started with crypto to crypto trading. right, with the highest liquidity. First exchange in India, first local exchange in India to start with the crypto to crypto trading offerings. So we started with that, and eventually, a few months down the line, we sort of came up with an idea when people. So what happened was, then exchanges, when the banking ban was implemented, exchanges shifted to a peer-to-peer model, including CoinD6. What peer-to-peer model says is that if I want to buy crypto and if you want to sell crypto, we will directly exchange INR. So I will transfer money to your bank account, and the crypto will come from your wallet to my wallet. This is a peer to P2P way of buying and selling crypto. Earlier, what used to happen was, there was a exchanges were the intermediary parties. So if I want to buy, I will give money to exchange and will buy crypto, and then whoever wants to sell, they will sell crypto to an exchange or to some other party, and then get INR. So there was an exchange which was in the middle. But now exchanges do not have bank accounts, so people used to transfer money peer to peer. So that sort of a structure. So exchanges were doing that, and it was a very inefficient process. Personally, for me, when I tried out the experience, it took me hours and sometimes even days, because you don't know when the recipient would confirm that he has received the payment. There was a dependency on the other party, which made the entire process slow. And for if I want to buy Bitcoin, I'll have to be matched with the person who is selling Bitcoin. So that was a sort of structure that used to happen. Then CoinD6 launched D6 Insta, which solved both of these problems. And what it does, it is still one of the fastest ways to buy crypto from Indian rupees. Is if you want to buy crypto, you just send money, and there were some mechanisms in the back end which uses extremely high liquidity, where we had a guarantee that anyone would be able to buy not just Bitcoin, not just Ethereum, but any of the top cryptos in less than 60 seconds. And I could see that happen, and it was not it was an amazing experience. And then that sort of picked up really well. I still remember when we launched the Insta product on 15th of August 2018. The next 3 days our team didn't sleep. We had thousands of users coming in and then trading, and then our team was there to give support, because that's the kind of experience people wanted to have, which was not there earlier. So we started with a peer-to-peer offering, and then things went up, and then we continued to launch more and more products.
And all of this, my understanding, again, if I'm getting it right, was while the banking prohibitions were still in place.
Yes, they were there, and then exchanges figure out a way to still allow people to buy and sell cryptocurrency, crypto assets, and without the need for banking partners. So that was the sort of innovation that happened in the country when the banking ban was in place. And then in the month of March of 2020, we have seen that exchanges started working with banks. In fact, Coinbase was the first exchange in the country to enable bank transaction, I think within 6 hours of the Supreme Court judgment. And that sort of increased, number one, a lot of investors were very confident, and the entire experience got further improved.
Makes sense. So my one of the things I read interestingly was even after the banking prohibition was put in place, there was a lot of stuff that happened. Right, one of the positive things when I look at it right now is I think it really kind of mobilized the crypto community, so to speak. Right, because I feel like up until that point there was scattered players. But if and I'll let you sort of shed more light on it. But my understanding is businesses in the crypto space and people within the crypto space did sort of work with the IMAI and sort of also did challenge that particular prohibition in the Supreme Court, right? Isn't that also
Right.
something during that phase? Like, tell us
Yes.
a little bit
Yes.
more about that and what was that all about, and how did that eventually sort of lead, and what kind of role did that sort of play in that prohibition being lifted later on?
Sure, Mithun. That's a very important point you've raised here. So there are two takeaways. Number one, when the banking ban was implemented, exchanges were able to figure out innovative ways, and they did not stop crypto trading or crypto buying and selling. Right?
Hmm.
People still could buy and sell crypto with INR. even with the banking restrictions in place. So that is the first thing, which will give assurance to all the which gave assurance to all the crypto community that exchanges are here to stay, exchanges are ready to serve, in such critical times, and which gave a lot of crypto community a sort of confidence that, with these sort of innovations we could still get into crypto. That was the first thing. So we continued to function, in spite of the RBI circular. That was the first. Second thing, what happened during that period was we didn't stop. So that was a circular that was passed. After that, all the exchanges came together. So there were 4 exchanges. The Coin-D6 was a part of it. We also, of course, there were many others in different groups. Also fought in various courts, that what RBI did, the banking ban was unconstitutional. So we filed a petition. In fact, personally, I filed a petition in the Supreme Court of India, saying that this is not right, this should not happen. And then we fought a Supreme Court case. It was in High Court, and then combined, the case went to Supreme Court, and then the Supreme Court heard, heard.
I
Heard.
think,
Hello.
yeah, I think we lost you for. I think we lost you for a couple of seconds there. I think we lost
Sure.
you at the point where you were telling us about you that petition was filed in the Supreme Court, and then what the
Yes,
Supreme Court
we
did
filed a
was.
petition. Yeah, we filed a petition that went on for like almost 1.5, 2 years. And then the good thing is, and we had very valid points. We onboarded various law firms, who were representing us. IMAI was also representing us. This is a member of IMAI. So all the industry players joined hands and then fought the, banking ban. And then after 1.5, 2 years, we ultimately won it. And that sort of gave good confidence. Like now, if so, a body like Supreme Court, after hearing for 1.5 years arguments from both the sides, from the RBI side, there was RBI on the other side, and there were exchanges on the other side. The hearing went on for years, and then Supreme Court, after hearing input, pointers from both the sides, came up with a judgment which was in favor of the crypto industry. Right,
Sure.
RBI had certain points, and then that sort of is a very strong sign. And this is the takeaway from that experience, is that Supreme Court understands that it's not doing any harm to the country. It's good. It's a technological innovation, and it should not be stopped. And Supreme Court giving a judgment in favor of the crypto industry is a strong sign of confidence. And what we can learn from that is, no matter what happens, right, in the end there is light. In the end, the Supreme Court, is always there, who understands the whole thing, who has heard about it, and they have given a positive judgment, which is a very strong sign of confidence. And that's the second thing. And everything, like after the end of when the judgment was given by the Supreme Court, the entire crypto community was in full joy and was celebrating. And then at Coin-D6, we saw roughly 10 times growth in sign-up. So people who are signing up, because that sort of gave confidence to the users. And yes, we have done that in the past. We will continue to work on that. Even right now as we speak, there is a lot of work that we are doing in terms of the draft bill that we're talking about, to get what is there inside it, and how we can work with the government, work with the regulators, help them understand why it needs to be regulated. Banning is not the right solution. This should be regulated. If they want to, and it's clear what their concerns are. We understand what their concerns are. They don't want to crypto to be used in illicit activities, which is, we are also comfortable with that. We'll just give them solutions how you can do that. People can still buy Bitcoin. There are several ways, right? But if exchanges are regulated, they will have the information, and they can work with regulators to stop such wrong activities from happening. And that is why the whole space needs to be regulated, so that these bad things will not happen. And that's the sort of message that we want to give to the government, that we are with you. We understand what your concerns are. We have the solutions in place. We have very stringent KYC, AML monitoring tools in place. We have processes in place which ensures investor protection. We understand what things can happen. We would also want this to be used for the betterment of the nation. And how to do that is we have solutions to that. We understand what government wants to come up with CBDC, government wants to launch their digital rupee, all of that. We would want to work with them, and that's the sort of
Sure.
dialogue we are currently doing with the regulators. We are trying to meet with MPs. We are helping them understand why regulations is needed. When the other progressive nations are adopting cryptos, why are you going the other way and then trying to come up with restrictive measures which will stop the industry from growing? It is not good for the country. It is not good for the crypto industry, and it is not good for investors who have put in their hard-earned money. That's billions of dollars from Indians who is already invested into crypto. Now imagine with those people, who have already invested. We don't want them to liquidate their cryptos just because of a banking man, which the news, which is not even like, there's no draft bill, there is no judgment, there is no law. It is still legal. It is still possible, and people are free to buy bitcoins even as of today. People should not be scared. People should continue to have faith in the government, and what we are working on is having that sort of dialogue with the government and making sure that the industry gets the recognition it deserves.
Okay. So that was a slightly long drawn out answer, but there were parts of it, I think, that are still important for people to understand, right? So we've sort of covered what's happened in the past. I'm hoping everybody's got a chance to sort of, get a better sense of how we've arrived where we've arrived now, right? Uh, there's been a lot of talk around CBDCs, Sumit, right? That's a term that's been thrown around quite a lot. Uh, we know China's been trying to come up with one now for the good part of half a decade now. Uh, the Russians were talking about it at some point about the digital ruble and all of that. But just for everybody's understanding in very layman terms, so when we are talking about CBDCs, right, what exactly are these, right? And what are they based on, right? What's your understanding at least? What should I make of the term?
Sure. So, in simple words, CBDC means central bank digital currency. Right
Okay.
now, central bank, the RBI controls the movement of money, the inflow, outflow. They decide how much to print, and RBI has control of that. It's a part of
Sure.
their monetary policy, and then they take care of all the monetary related policies and uh, issues. Now, every now you might have seen that government wants to move to a digital economy. Why digital economy? Is because it's more efficient, it's transparent, it's easier to keep a track. I was meeting with one of the regulators, few weeks back, and they understand that when you are talking about money, there's printing involved. There is cost in terms of managing that cash, right?
Hmm.
It's expensive to manage print money. There was a data point that around in 2018, government spent 700 crores just in printing money, just in printing money.
Lord.
700 crores of our, the tax that we pay, the capital, that the government has. 700 crores went just in printing, and that is in just 1 year. And governments keeps printing money, right? Whether it's 20 rupees note or 500 rupees note or 1000, 2000 rupees, they have to print money, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's also, it needs to be moved from one place to another, right? There are ATMs, you have to move the money from one place to another, and it costs, right? It costs a lot of money for the government to run it. And it is difficult to track. Cash is difficult to track,
We
right?
all it's a
Everyone
logistic
knows that, right?
nightmare from end to end, isn't it? From like making
Yes.
it to sort of getting it out into the market.
And
It's
we are
it's
not talking about 500,000. It's like, lots of cash that the government is printing that has to go to different places so that the economy continues to function. It's expensive. And especially in a country, like India, where handling cash is expensive, they understand the importance of a digital economy. So government wants to move in a direction. That's why you'll have seen various initiatives like UPI, where government is pushing digital payments. And India's UPI infrastructure is quite robust, right?
yeah.
Big respect for that. A lot of innovation happened, and that sort of took India to a next level. Now you can see like UPI transactions or bank transactions happening, very, it's so easy to send money from one account to another. It was not possible before UPI, right? It was very difficult. So they understand that it's it's very important to move to a digital economy if you want to move fast. The velocity of money should increase,
Yeah.
and that sort of will take India to a 5 trillion economy, because all the sectors, all the businesses will become more efficient when you move to a digital world.
Excellent.
So government understands that, and what government wants to do is how can we move again the payments systems to a more um, digital infrastructure. And they understand that there is a need, and all the governments are doing it. China has started work on it 5 years back. They've been working on it, they have been researching on it, and everyone understands that that the need to move the money from, and just like if you look at the evolution of money, the way it started, and now we are using digital payments. Before it was cash, uske pehle it was barter, gold, silver, cattle, so सबसे पहले it was like credit. So the way we are seeing that, we can clearly see that the trend is moving towards a more digital economy, right? And they understand that that's the reason why they are very active and keen on launching a central bank digital currency. What
Sure.
that means is now it will not be expensive. Now, if you want to print money, you can do it on blockchain, just like that. If you want to do something like now demonetization, right? The whole exercise of demonetization was very expensive for government. It cost them, and I don't know how whether it was beneficial or not, but it was very expensive for sure. Now if something like that, they can always do on blockchain. It will not cost them. It's just it's not a big expense for them, so they can save billions of dollars every year, and that's the taxpayers money, right? The country can save a lot of money if they just move the rupee on a digital. The second thing is, when you have digital INR or CBDC, it would be, and it's very it's on blockchain, right? It would be easier for them to do forex transactions. Now India does a lot of exports and imports. There's a lot of goods and services that India gives to other countries, and the vice versa. In order for government to do that, how do they transfer the cash to the different countries, all of that transactions? If that's on blockchain, and if that's there was a research report I was reading that having a digital rupee on CBDC will, one, it will help a lot. It will save lots of capital in forex. The second is in remittance. So India is a huge remittance market. Almost $100 billion come into the country every year. And when you send money, now that's capital inflow. A lot of money is coming into the country, which is what government wants. They would want more and more value and wealth to be built within India. And these transactions are very difficult. It's expensive, it's time taking, and a lot of these NRIs or people who send money to their parents back in the country, they pay a lot of money, right? And it's in the order of like 2%, 5%, or even goes higher depending upon merchant. But if you're talking about $100 billion, and if you are saving 2-5%, that is again like $2 to $5 billion that you can save in just remittances alone. And they can understand. And not just that, in India, if you do that remittance, if you streamline the remittance experience, there will be more capital that can come into the country in a very smooth manner, right? So the government understands the importance of launching the CBDC. Another thing is, when you have a digital rupee on blockchain, they can monitor each and every transaction, what's happening. They can see which bank has how much capital. The cases like Yes Bank, PMC, these will not happen, because every bank right now, what happens is, there's RBI, central bank. There are banks who help the RBI to control this, change things, and they are strictly monitored by the RBI. Now, if you have these things on blockchain, they can transparent. It's very transparent. First of all, government can do third party accounting. They can see where the money is flowing on blockchain, right? Where are the funds? Everything will become extremely transparent. And the movement of money will become very smooth, because right now, one bank to another bank, there is a settlement reconciliation that happens. Every bank, they have their own ledgers. Every bank needs to settle with other banks. Now, with a with a blockchain, that can happen very seamlessly and very cheaply also. So that will again save billions of dollars for the government, and that's that's essentially the sort of reason also, and there are several other benefits that the government sees in terms of transparency, in terms of efficiency, in terms of strengthening the payment infrastructure of the country. It's a clear thought that they would want to move in a world where they'll have digital rupee on blockchain.
Sure. So lots of interesting points there, because one of the constant questions is mostly around the beauty of cryptocurrencies, and especially with Bitcoin, it lies in its decentralization, right? Yes,
Right.
that mythical figure called Satoshi Nakamoto, but nobody knows if that's one person. One of the questions that constantly comes up is, with the CBDC, then is that ethos of decentralization then is gone out of the window, right? That's a question people have, but it also seems like it has its own advantages, right? Centralized, decentralized, it seems to have several advantages, right? Remittances and forex is something that you mentioned, and I think Shamal from Social Capital put it beautifully when he said, when he sends money to his cousin in Sri Lanka, for every $100 that he sends, probably $70 is what reaches his friends or cousins' pocket, because $30 is literally taken away from people. There are places where you literally have to pay money to get to the door at these places. So I think it does solve, even with the CBDC, I think it does solve for some of these fundamental problems, is my understanding. And there is a middle ground. And I think the positive part, like you mentioned, is these CBDCs are going to be built on blockchain, right? And interestingly enough, this proposed bill that none of us have read, one of the lines there is that there will be exceptions made for certain blockchain technologies and cryptocurrencies based on their underlying technological applications. Right? I think this is also something that you recently spoke about when
Hmm.
you were on one of the media channels, if I'm not wrong. Uh,
Hmm.
and we were talking about this earlier today, right? Of how regulating and sort of only allowing the reliable, trusted ones is actually sort of, in a way, it is protecting investor interests, right? That's an
Right.
extremely interesting one. But if you want to sort of dwell a little more on that, of what might be the advantages with that sort of regulation coming in, right?
Hmm. So there are two parts to it, right? So when we look at the 12th point in the latest Lok Sabha bulletin, which came out on 29th of January, I guess, one was talking about CBDC. I think
Hmm.
this is a very positive move. It will make the entire payment systems more efficient and very transparent. As I just mentioned a while back, this is a very strong sign of confidence. And what we need to understand is, when we talk about payment infrastructure, right? Bitcoin, as crypto asset, is has a different use case. That's more like a store of value, right? The digital equivalent of gold. Um, uh, I don't see Bitcoin replacing INR. I don't see Bitcoin being used in our day-to-day payments. That has a different utility. We don't use gold when I'm buying coffee from Starbucks. We just use INR because number one, it doesn't vary, right? The value of 1 rupee remains 1 rupee, right?
Yeah.
And Bitcoin, because of its nature, it will go up and down. So Bitcoin has a different use case, store of value where people can use it as a hedge against inflation. That's one part. The second part is, when you are building a payment infrastructure, you'll have to have something where you can reliably uh, rely on. And so that's where they are building an infrastructure where the merchants can accept it. Now Starbucks would be able to accept digital INR, which you're talking about. They would want that infrastructure to be built, which takes time. But yeah, I mean, this is the sort of angle they are looking at. One of the thing is that, for example, it's often heard that blockchain is good, Bitcoin is not good, those sort of discussions. And I think this is where I'd like to highlight that both go hand in hand.
Yeah.
There's one point also that mentioned about private cryptocurrencies and public cryptocurrencies. They mentioned that the government would prohibit private cryptocurrencies with certain exceptions. Now, from a government perspective, what do they mean by private cryptocurrencies? That is still not clear. So I'll not speculate on that. What I expect is that crypto assets like Bitcoin, Ethereum are built on public blockchains,
Yeah.
right? They're public blockchains, and whatever you do, it's difficult or it's impossible to ban them. People would still continue to trade because it's peer to peer. There's no centralized party. Where will you put a blocker? right? It's just like between two individuals, so it cannot be banned. And the move to prohibit private cryptocurrencies, I don't know what the definition of private cryptocurrencies is in front of their eyes, but I think that sort of is an area where government needs to get a little more clarity on, and that's where we have been working with them, helping them understand these are the sort of smart and sensible regulations you should come up with. Work I think this is where we as an industry player, it's our responsibility to help the government understand what are the benefits of blockchain technology. And you can't you can't stop Bitcoin in the first place, you can't stop Ethereum in the first place. And if you're stopping Ethereum, right, then you'll not be able to see the decentralized applications that are coming out of Ethereum. A software developer sitting in Bangalore, if he wants to work something on top of Ethereum blockchain, and if he wants to pay the fees in Ethereum, where will he get the Ethereum from? So there are the entire blockchain ecosystem that government is promoting, will cripple if you don't allow these public blockchains to prosper in the country. And a lot of people are already, I think there was one interesting data point that I read. If a lot of Indians have invested, a lot of people in the world have invested. If Bitcoin touches $200,000, half of the world's billionaires will be crypto investors, right? So that's the sort of data point that is there, and government should not take steps which will a lot of people have invested in Bitcoin in India. People want to do that, and government should not stop them. It's their hard-earned money, and if they understand the risk, if they want to invest, there should be framework. You should put in guidelines. You should put that, okay, these are the things that exchanges needs to do, and we are more than happy to accept their suggestions and implement those guidelines in the platform. So yeah, I mean, now I feel the discussions. And one interesting thing is, in this in this Lok Sabha bulletin, last time it was banning, the word banning was used. Now we see this particular thing as more open and welcoming. There is no banning word. In fact, the words that are used by are like facilitative framework. They want to build a framework around it. Even in private cryptocurrencies, they've mentioned exceptions. Now, what are those exceptions that needs to be understood? It can be Bitcoin, Ethereum, or it might be also that they don't want one thing government is very concerned about is investor protection. It's fair. There are people, Indians who have invested into cryptocurrency. The government doesn't want them to lose out capital. And sometimes in India, a lot of people want to invest, just like what happens in lottery. People might in the in the expectation that they'll get rich quick, people might invest in some projects which are not fundamentally very strong. And I think it's good for investor protection. Just like any company cannot have publicly traded shares on NSE BSE. Similarly in crypto, because that's for investor protection. If that's not the case, then any company will come up with their stocks and people invest.
Progressive regulation too, right? That's the good stuff. That's
the good stuff. That's good. Yeah, so I'm also looking at this from a positive angle. The trend that we are seeing, right, from banning to not talking about framework and talking about private cryptocurrencies. The government has not used the word private cryptocurrencies. Now they're using the word private cryptocurrencies, and that will spark the discussion. Government will understand what are public blockchains, what are private blockchains, what should be allowed, what should not be allowed, what are the exceptions that needs to be created. And these are the discussions which will help them understand more about this space. These are the sort of discussions within the government, within the regulators. They'll have to identify, they'll have to define private cryptocurrencies that are coming up with a law, right? That will help us understand how government treats it. And that will also give us some idea on what to tell the government, what to how that will also help us in having the right dialogue with the government officials. So I see this as a positive sign. Of course, the awareness around cryptocurrencies is very little. And then, even regulators, during my discussions with some of the people there in the ministries, I feel there's some gap in terms of understanding about the whole space, which we as an industry player are trying to bridge.
Interesting. So we've covered most of it. You sort of also covered the private versus public crypto stuff that I wanted to sort of talk about. I think one of the I just want to sort of take a moment here to sort of at least highlight some of the points that I think that are key here. I think as crypto investors, what tends to happen is as investors in Bitcoin or Ethereum, and I'm only mentioning these two because these are the most commonly used ones, right? Is we purely tend to think about when news like this comes out, we purely tend to think from the angle of I've put in my money, is that safe? But what's interesting to understand, and which is why I think the last conversation also we had this conversation of it's important for people to understand more about blockchain technology itself, right? The stuff that you spoke about of a developer sitting in Bangalore who's building something on top of blockchain. It's not just about investing. There's a lot of businesses that are now being built on this, right? It is whether you like it or not, it is connected to our economy, right? It is bringing in business, it is creating jobs, it is bringing in capital into the country, it is solving a lot of problems, right?
Right.
So I think words like ban and all of these things, I think also sort of irresponsible to use, and the bill doesn't say that, right?
The
Whatever
bill
is
doesn't say that. Huh.
first of all, we don't know if there is a bill. That's the
We don't
interesting.
know. Yeah, so people should not panic.
Yeah, so we don't know if there is a bill. If there is a mythical bill, that bill does not talk about any bans. It talks about, and the good thing to know in this conversation from someone like you is the fact that you've seen this entire thing going on. And I think there are some subtle points that you mentioned of also the change in language now, right? It talks more about regulations and more about moving forward rather than stopping things from happening. Cool. I think that is stuff for anyone here who's tuned in to sort of get to know about this. Do go and look up, understand what sort of businesses are being built on blockchain, right? What kind of technology solutions are being built. I think that'll just give you a more holistic picture of things.
Absolutely, and they have used the word regulation. So words like regulation are very positive,
Yeah.
right? Framework, right? These are positive words, so we should not treat this as a negative stuff. I've seen a lot of media outlets highlighting banning of cryptocurrencies, where the word ban is itself not used. And there are other reasons. I think a lot of people talk about it a lot when there is a negative news than when there's a positive news. And then that's a totally different ballgame. I think we as responsible industry players, it's our duty to help people understand that what the current situation is right now. It's not there's no ban, outright ban yet. And there's no need to worry. If you're holding crypto, you can stay invested. It's still legal to hold, buy, sell, trade crypto in the country. So there's nothing to worry. I keep sharing this in on my Twitter handle, and using Coindesk also publishes a lot of such informative materials on D6. When we keep sharing about certain things about you mentioned about blockchain. So with blockchain, there will be several unicorns, several billion-dollar companies that will come out of the country,
Yeah.
right? And the government sees that happening. Government doesn't want to stop them. Having things like banning the whole thing will also stop that innovation from happening. And it's not good for the country, so they understand it. I feel that it will just a matter of time when because of course the industry is so fast moving, evolving so rapidly, that it takes time to catch up the pace with it, right? The government moves a little slow, industry moves, its technology, it moves really really fast. So government has to catch up with the technology, which sometimes is it's difficult. So of course, I mean, it's natural. But that's where we'll have to work with the government and help them understand what are the potential benefits of the blockchain technology, how it can help the country. For investors, there is I don't see this as a there's a need to panic right now until you see the bill. And of course, even if there's a tiny possibility, even if something bad comes out, there will still be time, and you can continue to hold your crypto. And Coindesk is there, will always be there. Whenever you want to sell it, you can always sell it. There is no need to panic sell, right? The only thing is to stay calm.
So that is where I'll sort of, bring you on to the next part because we discussed this. And I'm sorry to interrupt. The only reason I want to sort of break it down and sort of, go from the past to correct
Hmm.
about the present. And this is the third bit that you were sort of going into, where
Hmm.
people have these questions, right? What happens if there is a ban, right? What happens to my
Sorry.
fund? People have these questions around,
Hmm.
if, worst case scenario, I think somebody asked it in the chat as well, of, God forbid there is something that's teetering on a ban or bordering on a ban, what happens to my funds, right? are my investments safe? I think that is the part that you're covering. So I'll let you sort of
Sure.
continue on that part.
Yeah, yeah. So the funds are safe, right? And you have your crypto. You can always sell it. You can do whatever you want. So the funds are safe, and it will not be like God forbid, even if something comes out, it's not like they're gonna stop it overnight. There are millions of people, right? More than 5 million people who have invested into cryptocurrency, right? Government understands that there's so many people, and they will, I think, we have seen in the last 2018 draft also, they've given, like for example, in the RBI circular there was a 3 month notice period. In the last, there was a time period, and it was explicitly mentioned that the government will give them time to liquidate their assets. And whatever I have hopes on the government, they will be fair. And again, what I practically feel is that something like ban will not come out, right? Because they understand, and even if there is lack of clarity, we will make them understand the benefits of regulating crypto rather than banning it. So there's that's something we are already working on. So I don't see a ban coming up, but
Yeah,
even if something like, there's always a possibility to liquidate, and you will have enough time to sell it. There is no need to panic sell. There is no need to and generally in times like this, a lot of people spread misinformation,
yeah,
because negative information spreads really faster, right? So that is where we need to be responsible and double check the facts. I have seen in some of the groups, people were circulating drafts of the old bill, right, which was draconian, and then people mentioned and screenshot that, okay, this is the new bill, this is going to be like this, and it's not true.
yeah.
I see this as a positive direction, and there's no need to worry about it. The funds are safe. They will be safe with you, and whenever you want to sell it, liquidate it, you can always do that.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's also something. Generally, my request to people on these groups, that forums that we run, has been the same. Of if you do read something, right, verify it again before, especially before you forward it to someone else, because this stuff nowadays just spreads like wildfire, right? And almost all of the information that's been coming out, it's been very, very speculative. So I don't know if there's somebody from the media watching this or I'm going to end up watching this. If you guys have questions, please reach out to us. We'd like to sort of answer those questions very clearly before you go to press with it. Because I think that most of the fear, I think this time around, or just whatever little we've seen, has been because uh, it's a proposed bill. The media has written about it. People have read it, and what it's done is it's just brought in a lot of unnecessary questions also in people's minds, right? And a lot of these fears are very unfounded and it's too premature. But I think what's been positive this time around is, of course, there's been some selling, but people have held on this time, right? I think that's been a good sign overall as well. Cool.
Right.
So sorry, were you saying anything else, Sumit?
No, no.
Sure. So I think, yeah, most of the questions that are in the chat as well, I think we already sort of covered it while we were having this discussion. Uh, we also tried to make this as elaborate as possible because we wanted to sort of, one of the things we realize is to be able to ask the right questions, you also need to have enough information. And that is what we were hoping to do with this session, of set the context, right? Give you a full sense of the past and what the current bill might mean and where you see the future going. So we've covered most of it. I don't see any sort of questions that have come here which we haven't already covered, guys. There's one request here. Please launch a crypto card which can be used on an ATM, Sumit. When is that coming?
Sure. I mean, that can be done. It's just that I think things have to be done in a step-by-step manner. I think right now we are, in a phase where we should first regulate this, right?
Yeah,
Launching an ATM card, I think it's there. I mean, it will help, but it will, when we talk about impact, right? Right now, the impact would be maximum when you help people invest and store crypto safely and easily. That's the sort of problem statement that most of the people are struggling with, which Coinbase is actively working on. There are a
yeah,
lot of things we have done. We have also launched a app, Coinbase Go, which is the simplest Bitcoin investment app. I think that's the sort of focus area for us at the moment. And when it comes to things like these innovative things, like where you can use your crypto card in ATMs and withdraw cash, all of those things will happen. It's just a matter of time. And generally, CoinD6 cannot do everything. So what we would want is the industry to flourish, right? And government to regulate it. Now imagine if government comes up with positive regulations, there will be lots of entrepreneurs who will build businesses like this, which can become multi-million dollar companies. And it will not just solve this question, but several hundreds and thousands of other use cases will come up in the country, right? And the country will grow faster. I think that would be a right approach. I think, of course, all these things are in the pipeline. But for us, the focus area is how you can help Indians invest into crypto, smartly, easily, and safely.
And I think the good thing is India, in that sense, has some precedent, right? The entire fintech boom that has happened primarily because of larger institutions and the government sort of opening up, right, and being
Yes.
open to sort of working with private businesses that are solving problems. And that was a realization of the fact and acceptance of the fact that we can't solve everything ourselves, right? We need private players.
If there would be just one airline, or if they're like, we could not innovate, right? I mean, monopoly is not good, right? Decentralization is good. You open the market, free market is always good. It will eventually come to the best possible state. So yes, I think, once you open up this space, you will automatically have several thousands of blockchain and crypto companies who will solve problems for the country.
Yeah.
So this is definitely a right direction.
Yeah, and if you're a new investor, like, do check out CoinD6 Go. I mean, I will let you guys take a look at the product and judge it. But that's also a question that we get. I quickly want to touch upon it before we leave for the day. Was we get this question if there's a limited number of coins that's because we want to list the projects that are reliable. We want to list projects that are safe for you to invest in. Right, it's easy to sort of.
I'll add one more thing. I'll add one more thing here, Mithun. See, as a company, right, our objective is also that anyone who is investing, ultimately, if people invest and if people make returns, it's good for them, it's good for the industry, and it's good for CoinD6 also, right? Yeah. There are thousands of crypto assets which are currently traded. People can invest in that, and not all the assets that you trade in have very strong fundamentals. If you are a new crypto investor, and because the CoinD6 Go app is primarily targeted towards new coiners, or basically people who are new into the crypto, it is our responsibility to only have projects which are reliable, where we are comfortable, if people invest in that. The reason being, we don't want people to lose capital, right? If project goes down or if something happens, that's why we are being very, very selective with what tokens we list in that app. And I think these are all steps. I mean, we can always, we have the infrastructure, we can always list like 500 tokens. It doesn't cost us anything. We'll in fact make more revenues, right? The problem is we don't want to take that step. We want to be a responsible industry player, and we would want to only list tokens where we have legal opinion from. So we have a legal team, compliance team. They tell us, okay, this is the legal opinion from their side. It's okay to list them. There's a team, a research team who looks after the tokens. They have a framework, 7M framework, which they take every token through, before we list on the, on our platform. So for example, if basic attention token, passes that framework, then we list that on Go app. And I think, this is good. These are signs where the industry gets more matured, and you will not have bad actors in the industry. Yeah. So this is the initiative from us, and we'll continue to work on that.
Yeah, I think it also builds a lot of confidence within regulators when the industry players themselves sort of take these steps, right? I think so. That's something.
Yes.
To sort of really
yes. And we're also, just to add on that, I don't know how many people are aware about it. We also have a code of conduct. So most of the Indian exchanges are following a self-regulatory code of conduct. What that means is that there is a set of guidelines that exchanges are following. So government has not given us any guidelines. We would want government to come up to us and tell us, okay, Coin-D6, do this, do this, do this. We would want that. We would want clarity on taxation. We would want clarity on GST. A lot of these things are not clear because the space is not regulated. But because all of that is missing, we are, as an exchange, as an industry, we are taking that step and following code of conduct, which will work in the in favor of investor protection. So that's something
And
that is currently
is this
happening.
documented? Is this something that's documented that people can look up somewhere?
We can share that. I think it is already covered in some of the media channels. If you, I think few weeks back, it was out there in a lot of print and online websites, so people can go there and refer to that.
Sure, makes sense. All right. I think with that, we've pretty much come to the end here, guys. Sumit, thanks a lot. I know this has been helpful for me as well. Part of the reason I enjoy doing these things is because, I mean, this is the best way for me also to sort of figure out actually what's going on, right? So thanks a lot again. For everyone who attended here, the idea today was to sort of, just put you at ease and give you a like real sense of what's happening, right? It's very easy to get carried away in all the headlines and all that. So we wanted to present a very real picture about regulations and crypto regulations in the country to you. If you're not on our community forums, please join in. You download the CoinD6 Go app if you're a new investor. It has a direct link to our community. And similarly, if you're a trader, it's the same for you, right? In the CoinD6 Go app, it's there. Join in, and any further questions that you have posted on the forums, we'll be happy to pick that up and send more answers your way. But this is it for this live with CoinDCX and Sumit, thanks a lot for taking the time out here. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Mithun. I always enjoy that. And whenever you feel that community wants to have any interaction, feel free to, ping me. And then I'm always happy to come on EMAs like sessions like this and address our users and Indian crypto community queries.
Sure. Thanks a lot. Okay, guys.
Thank you so
Everyone,
much,
thanks
Mithun.
for tuning in. We'll see you all soon sometime again. We'll try to do more of these sessions soon.